everyone, it's your girl Robin Shockley with Focus Forward with Robin on the go, because you never know where I'm going to be. I'm right here in Malden, South Carolina, here at the Tropical Grill restaurant upstairs with my very good friend Terell Skelton. Now we are here for the Voice of Vision and Truth podcast. It's a podcast where people can come on and share awareness and knowledge and wisdom about their voice being truthful. So you've got a lot of truthful things and nuggets that you have shared on social media lately, because I've been following you.
Yes.
You have this video that you have escalated into speaking about the street minister. It's these application videos. Can you tell us about what is a street minister?
Well, thank you for asking, Robin. Street minister is basically it's come in two parts. One is that we can reach out and touch the people in the streets, trying to find them a way, trying an avenue, trying to land them in a place where they can have a home and shelter, and also get their life back on check. Also, the other part of street minister is being able to reach the people who are already in a home, who already have some of those access, but they still have a street mentality. So they're unbalanced right now in life in the way they think. And so me being a street minister who had been there in the streets and also been in a home where I still was relying on the streets for resources. And with this street ministry, it brings out a better part of me. That's why I have what's called change thinking, change your outcome. And what that means is called pet knots, meaning that you're not giving yourself any slack. You know, that means that you're not going to do anything to kind of give yourself any excuses anymore. So basically what pet knot stands for is practice, exercise, and thinking, not on thoughts. It's so important that we practice our thinking, not on thoughts, because thoughts we have no control over. Now, spoken is one of my applications on pet knots, because I feel like a lot of people are at that threshold where they're trying to figure out exactly what they need to do next, because they're not balanced. And you have to balance your thinking, because that's the free access that the Lord gives us, to have free access to our thinking, so we can be able to control our outcome for that day. So it's very important. That's what my ministry is all about, is to reach the people on the streets and also the people who's in a home as well.
Wow. So Terell, how do you think that you can take your knowledge that you process and what God has given you to implement it into the streets? How do you think that you can utilize this through your teaching, so to speak? What do you think the way to go about it?
Well, for one, Robin, it comes with a lot of practical experience. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to experience it. It's not no theoretical knowledge we're talking about here. It's about what you have truthfully experienced in the streets, where you have experienced some hard, some ups and downs, but it's how were you able to succeed through it. You know, it's something else I will come up with. It's going to be very helpful to be able to help men people, is that you have to learn how to sacrifice something that you love, but it keeps you in bondage, but it brings on a struggle. But you got to hold on to that struggle so you will succeed at being who you are. And that way, Robin, we can learn how to be successful to others.
Wow. So, Terell, with you recently becoming a minister, congratulations to that. You know, I know you've been through a lot. You have a story, just like all of us have a story. Can you give us a little tidbit of something about your life story? That way it can help our viewers know, you know, you're not just talking jive here. You literally have been in the streets. You literally have went through some things, and the best thing to make a positive impact, I believe, is truthfully by experience. When you mix that knowledge with the experience, that's where wisdom comes in.
Yes.
So can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, before I turned 20, I have been out of high school, I've been shot, been incarcerated before I was 21. All that stuff applied before I turned 21 years old. And even after that, I came back out and I introduced myself back to the streets, where I was living in a place, but it was only temporarily, but it was no foundation. And it led me to a life of a lot of negative things. Nothing positive was coming out of it.
Yes.
And it just took me through a line where I learned how to do everything as for that applies to having street credits. And that type of stuff never did get me anywhere. until I found the true calling, which is I had to take what I used to know and throw it out the window because it was no longer who I had to be no more.
Yeah.
And it's who I am now.
Wow, Terrell. Well, it's pretty awesome, the things that you have had your life experiences, and I know that you're wanting to get out there in the community. You're wanting to get people to know who the Terell Skelton is.
Yes.
I know that you have a YouTube channel, and on Facebook, you've got a lot of these little video clips that you put together, these reels to talk. You've got a lot of wisdom that you have gathered together. Can you give us something, a topic that you can kind of elaborate that can be motivational and inspirational, with your truth of the way you see things?
Yes. I always keep, and the overall is always keep yourself grounded. That's the most important thing. Is find your identity. It's another thing. Is that we have to identify who we are as an individual before we learn how to identify someone else and what they have going on in their life. Once you find out who self is, then you'll find your creator. And on top of everything is that no one can devalue who you are because you have built value in yourself.
How do you get to a point, though, to find out who yourself is, to get your own identity? What are some steps?
For one, isolation. One is isolation. That's step number one. Is that you got to take notes. It's like you're taking a personal diary of yourself. You're jotting down things that you're doing that draws you to that anger, that draws you to that temptation, to that lust, or whatever it may be. You have to jot down and you got to take notes of it and say, okay, well, what got me to this point? And you have to backtrack. You got to find out where the resources at so you get to the source. Okay, and you have to identify. A lot of times, things that's right here is at your fingertip. But you have to. One thing is you always have to be grounded and have an identity. Once you recognize who you are, then you learn how to control yourself. One thing about in life, ladies and gentlemen, you can't control something you don't know. And you can't control something you don't see. But once you realize you acknowledge it, then you evaluate it, then you can control it.
I'm listening to everything that you're saying and stuff because over the years with our friendship, you have, when a thought comes to you, you're like, hey, can I share this with you? I got this accolade that God, the Holy Spirit just gave this to me, and I want you to hear this, and such. And so I think it's pretty awesome that, that you are walking in the path of purpose today.
Yes.
That you are utilizing, who you are to speak awareness for the people, giving them the insights of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And so, Terrell, with that being said, what is part of your life purpose? Tell us more so. Now that you discovered what self is, you've overcome the obstacles that you dealt with when you were young, and now you're living a life of purpose. But tell us a little bit, what is your life purpose?
I like that, Robin. On top of having a personal development, developing who you are, is that where we are lacking in is a lot of spiritual awareness. Spiritual awareness is one of the big topics for me. It's my passion, is to bring enough spiritual awareness out of the things that you're doing on a daily basis, things that you're overlooking, and it's right there at your hand side. We got to understand that the two parts of us is that we're gonna be a conscious thinker or we're gonna be a subconscious thinker. And a lot of times is that we're not consciously thinking of what we're doing, and then we're not taking notes. But when you're subconsciously thinking of that, it's going to start with your emotions, and emotions it's going to interact with your experience. So whatever your emotions is based off of is what you're going to react off of. And that place is where you don't want to be if it's not a good place. And we find ourselves in dark places, in dark moments, because we subconsciously have those thoughts. But start bringing it back to reality, bring it back to the front, bring it to the conscious part, and be more logical about your decision making that you want to do.
Do you feel that because people have different opinions with being in the pulpit and being in the street, you got your preacher, then you got your teacher, and then you got your combination. How do you view yourself with that?
I like that one, both, because for one, the church is first. That's where the ground root that started in the church. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not trying to gravitate to the church. Therefore, our ministry has to go outside the four walls. And also not only go outside the four walls, but also having a good ministry, have a good leadership in the ministry, it's our job as ministers, other leaders, spiritual leaders, is to bring people back to the house. And they will get under some good ground and foundation spiritually for themselves. And that way, then that means that now that you're under good spiritual guidance, you're under covering. And that's what we need. We can't do this by ourselves. I cannot go out here and be a solo minister and don't expect I don't need no help. I have a spiritual father, I have a spiritual mother. And also I have other spiritual guidance in my life. I can't do this by myself. It's my job to reach as many people I possibly can to bring back into the church so they go ahead and get the good doctrine that they need, get more knowledge of the Bible. That's what we're lacking right now, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to know the Bible for yourself. Don't let nobody come and tell you anything. Learn it for yourself, and it's there.
Oh, that's a very good key nugget to share. You've shared some very great words of wisdom today. Some little nuggets to us. And this is what it's all about. Guys, you need to go follow Terell Skelton on his YouTube channel and on his Facebook. YouTube is @Terell Skelton. You can find him. It is the Street Minister. And you can find him on Facebook under Terell Skelton as well. So, Terell, thank you for taking this time to come share a little bit of your wisdom nuggets with us today on the Voice of Vision and Truth. If you would like to take part in being this show, all you got to do is hit your girl Robin Shockley up on all social media platforms, and you have an opportunity. You got a story to tell, you've been through something, you want to bring awareness, you want to bring knowledge, you want to bring your experience and how you overcome and share it to give hope to somebody else. That's what this show is all about. Thank you again for being on the show today, Terell.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. This is your girl, Robin Shockley. Focus forward, Robin on go. You never know where I'm going to be. On behalf of the Voice of Vision and Truth podcast, remember what I always say. You think a thing, you believe a thing. If you believe it, you will achieve it. Y'all be blessed. Hit the button. Do you have a story to bring positive impact of change to the next generation or even this generation? Contact your girl Robin Shockley on all social media platforms to tell your story on the Voice of Vision and Truth podcast.